So we're going to do 3 quick stories today. The first one is about Trump pulling out troops out of the Middle East, specifically out of Syria. Of course, the neoconservative war hawks are mad. They're always mad if it's not more war and more American troops in the Middle East. They're always upset. But it's crazy to see liberals such as Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and peace and loving Marianne Williamson complaining about this. I didn't hear them complaining very much in 2016 when, in Syria, militias armed by the Pentagon fight those armed by the CIA. Our taxpayer dollars in the United States were going to funding 2 different sides of that battle. And if you really look at Syria, we were funding rebels to overthrow the leader while there was Al-Qaeda, ISIS, Al-Nusra, all of these terrorist groups. So it's at least a 3-way proxy war, if not more sides of the battle. As terrorists were growing in the region, it was getting horrible. Nobody seemed to complain then. Nobody seemed to complain when we did the same thing in Libya, funded rebels, killed the leader of Libya, and it ended up in literal slavery. It's funny how everybody who wants to talk about slavery doesn't talk about the slave trade in the modern era, whether it be human trafficking or what happened in Libya, because it was actually the Obama administration with Hillary Clinton as Secretary of State, both Democrats, who helped fuel that. This is what Syria looked like when President Trump got into office. This is what it looks like now. Trump is pulling out. He's letting Turkey, the Kurds, the Syrian government, and others figure it out. And my suggestion to neoconservatives or liberals who really care so much about their Kurdish allies, to the Christian conservatives complaining so much about this, check out these articles where some of the Kurdish allies were actually reportedly attacking Christians. One Assyrian Christian hit me up and said, "Thank you so much for talking about this. They've been doing this for decades." I'm sure there's 2 sides of that story, but all the right-wing fanatics about the Kurds all of a sudden crack me up because they don't even know that there's apparently far left versions of that Kurdish group that absolutely wouldn't care about you or probably Christians. So cut the crap or go out to Syria and fight with the Kurds. In fact, I will pay for your flight out there and I'll give you a couple $100 on top of that for food and drinks. Go fight with the Kurds if you care so much about that. And to the liberals upset that the endless wars are actually ending, the terrorists are disappearing, we're not funding rebels anymore, and we're not getting involved in a proxy 3-4-way war, give me a break. You guys are such hypocrites and liars, it's ridiculous. If Trump said he wants to drink water, you'd all of a sudden dehydrate saying you don't like water anymore. It's ridiculous. The second story I want to talk about is Planned Parenthood announces $45 million campaign to defeat Trump and flip the Senate. On average, Planned Parenthood receives about $500 million of taxpayer-funded money. So why are they getting politically involved? Why are we paying hundreds of millions of dollars to them with taxes so they can then fund political operations against us? Listen, I don't even want to get into the Planned Parenthood debate right now, but I'll just say this. I wouldn't want the NRA getting taxpayer dollars and then funding a Trump campaign or Republican campaign. Taxpayer money is not to fund groups to then join political parties and work against the president. That's not what they're for. I wouldn't support the NRA if they did that. I'm certainly not supporting Planned Parenthood, all this money we're giving them to then use against Trump and Republicans. I don't even want to get into it, but taxpayer money should not be funding super PAC organizations to then fight against political parties. This is ridiculous. Completely defund them. The third thing I want to talk about is the China controversy in the NBA. I want to play this clip real quick of Jason Whitlock, who really nailed it on mainstream news, about probably why all the NBA players are not so froggy about criticizing China.
No, it's really about Nike. And Nike is the king of basketball. Nike's a $30 and $40 billion a year business. The NBA is an $8 billion a year business. The NBA answers to Nike, and Nike answers to China. From LeBron James to Colin Kaepernick, who supports them? Nike.
This is also why Colin Kaepernick's activism worked. It's because it's corporate activism. It's, I'm going to stand up for my people in America, even though I'm only going to talk about 0.001% of the reason they're dying, ignore 99.9%, and then go work with people who use under minimum wage laborers in another country and get money from them. Wow, so brave and stunning. And all these players, like somebody I love, Steph Curry, I even have his jersey. I like the guy a lot. I like his mindset. I love his skills on the court. I like his family. But listen to him like, I don't want to talk about it really. Yeah, of course you have no problem talking about gun violence because it's a framed narrative to try to take away a freedom in this country, the Second Amendment. You don't talk about how in England, gun violence, knife violence, overall crime, acid attacks are all on the rise. You don't talk about the tens of thousands of people who are dying in this country due to opioids and fentanyl. You're only allowed to do communist-style activism, which is take away our freedom of speech, take away our Second Amendment, take away the right to a fair trial under the guise of, I care so much about women. Talk about equality among the genders, although I'm sure you're not giving your salary to the WNBA, or realizing that recent studies came out and said that women are actually doing better than men, not only in school, but in the workforce.
You want to say publicly on certain issues?
No, I think this one just it's a league-wide situation, and our presence in China, it's just a different conversation, I think, than what we have normally, Coach talking about gun violence or gender equality or things that for us is being spokespeople for people who can't speak for themselves.
They let you do that stuff because it's communist style activism. They're like, I'm so courageous when it comes to cracking down on American freedom and personal liberty, but when it comes to talking about the communist regime that funds my league, all of a sudden I don't have something for it. I'm so tired of these athletes. I love their skills on the court. I don't mind if they have certain political priorities that disagree with mine, but it's like, say nothing about communist regime, pump communist ideology into our country, and then pat yourself on the back like you're somehow helping working class citizens and people of all colors. I don't care what you do. It's just like, stop pretending like you're super woke or real or really helping us, because you're not. You're just multimillionaires listening to what Nike and the NBA tell you to do, what you're allowed to do, and they figure out what you're allowed to do based on who's funding them, giving them money, or televising their shows.
Communist countries for 100 years have used the strategy of smearing the West, aka America, as being the racist demon of the planet. And they do it to cover up their own racism, their own depravity, and the damage of communism. Voila, here we have Nike in bed with China, and Nike athletes, Colin Kaepernick, LeBron James, smearing the United States.
Let me know what you think about the 3 stories I talked about. Give me your perspective in the comment section if you got a good one. Have a great week, and thank you to everybody supporting me. Recently, Facebook has been weird, and it's been kicking a lot of people out of my live stream. Within the first 10 seconds, I've been hearing all sorts of stories about commenting and liking certain pages. They're popping up notifications. They're sending people to other people's pages. I'm sure they're just dying inside to be like communist China too, where they could kick out anybody who disagrees with them, censor everybody, censor the internet, and stop people from asking for freedom, personal liberties, lower taxes, and a country like the one ours was founded on, and a country that operates off a constitution that gives the people more power than the government. I'm sure they can't stand it at these social media companies. It's bothering them so much that they gotta rig their little algorithms, they gotta change the search results. Every which way they try to knock me down a couple pegs and boost their mainstream media buddies and corporate friends up to the top because they're so trusted and people need real information from them, even though nobody trusts them, nobody likes them, and people go to the internet for the opposite of what they provide. But anyway, thank you for everybody supporting on Patreon, Donor Box, Facebook, anyway, just watching the video and sharing. I appreciate you much. God bless you. God bless America. God bless your family. God bless the world. Have a great week. I'll be back with more footage.